Hey everybody, welcome back. It is Monday, April 6th, 2020. We are in our second official week of distance learning. I hope you kind of realize what the agenda is going to be going forward and what I expect of you. And hopefully everybody is getting signed on. I will share with you a couple of announcements. As you can see, our agenda here for today. If you want to pause, take a snapshot of that, write it down. This is what we'll be doing today. In fact, I should add on here, the homework is solo from Amplify. Nothing too crazy today. But a couple of announcements. First of all, thank you very, very much for the Remind app, signing up for that. Many of you are in there. Many parents are in there as well. This week, I'm going to try to track down everybody that has not done that. If you have not yet done that, please do so. And if you're having problems signing on to the Remind app, contact me via email. I'll put my email up here again for those of you that may have forgot what it is. Schools.org, and we can get you on there because it's really simple to just send mass text messages and answer questions individually on that platform rather than relying on email and stuff like that. So one of the other announcements I have to make is iPad issues. If you're having problems with your iPad, I highly suggest trying to locate either a laptop or a desktop or a Chromebook or something else that's not sorry for the music in the background. My daughter's watching Toy Story 4 before she goes to bed here. But if you're having issues with your iPad, try to find another type of device that will work. And if the iPad's the only thing you have and you're having a lot of issues with it, then you need to get in contact with the help desk. Okay, and I put a link on one of my posts in the past for you to click on that and do that should you need to do so. Okay. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else much pressing. The office hours are official for me. Basically, if you need to get in contact with me for English only, I will be on Zoom from 10 to 12 live every day on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay, and that doesn't matter what period you're in. If you're in first and second or third and fourth, just come on in if you have questions on Zoom and I can talk to you one-on-one. I'll just have that on. So that is official. And then, of course, if you need contact with me any other way outside of those hours on Remind or on email, that's perfectly good too. And if you even really want, I definitely have a lot of free time, so you can do a one-on-one Zoom appointment if you would like for anything that is pressing in your life. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with today. We are going to start DLP number 2 and silent reading number 2 for this week. So let's go ahead and start with the DLP. So for Monday, 4-6, go ahead and pause the video and copy that down now. And let's go over the corrections after you have done that. Okay, so, oh no, there is an obstacle on the runway at the airport. We better warn the pilot, exclaimed David. Okay, so we know that this is a quotation. So we'll put the quotation mark there and there. This is also a capital O, and this is also an expression, right? This is an exclamatory sentence. So the rules don't really we can put the exclamation point there. It doesn't have to be a complete sentence. And probably there's a comma there as well because it's oh no. Then we'll need to capitalize the T in there. There is a obstacle based on our no red ink from Wednesday. You now know, of course, that if you have a vowel sound after, you need to use the A-N, not A. So you need to put A-N, obstacle, on the runway at the airport. This is another period, or if you want to, you can actually make this a colon, a semicolon there. We better warn the pilot. This is exclaimed David, so my bet is that he's probably screaming this, and you need an exclamation point there. And you'll need to capitalize the D in David and put a period after his name. Number 2, that was too close to call. I'm so glad you said something, David. We avoided a huge disaster, said the pilot gratefully. Okay, so another quotation mark goes there. capital T. That was too close to call. There are two O's in this version of two. And we'll go ahead and put a period there. Capital I. You need to put an apostrophe here because this is contraction for I am. So glad you said something, David. We'll go ahead and capitalize David's name. This also needs to be a comma here. So something, period at the end of David. Capital W for we. We avoided a huge disaster. He's not exclaiming this. Maybe he should, but the pilot is not exclaiming. It looks like said the pilot gratefully. And we'll put a period there. Okay, so there are your corrections. Go ahead and make those corrections now. Head back on over to our agenda and your SSR for this week. It's vocab. So please select 5 vocab words during your 20 pages of reading and use them in sentences. So complete 5 of those a day. You don't need to define the words, although you might need to look them up, but you'll need to complete 5 sentences per day and then snap a picture of that and put that on Google Classroom at the end of the week. Okay, that brings us to our main portion of today's lesson, and this is Amplify Unit 7D, Poetry, Poe and Poetry. We're actually starting a brand new subunit number 2, and it's lesson 1. This is the beginning of Telltale Heart. If you did not start the solo from Thursday, you need to do that now. So pause the video and do the solo from the Thursday video because that gives you a very good start. And then when you're done with that, you can come back and begin lesson 1. We are starting the Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. So let's go over, it's kind of cool how we're going to do it today. So I'll go ahead and show you how to get there, right? We're on 7D, Poetry and Poe. And we finished up with subunit 1. We're on subunit 2, and we are on lesson 1. Okay, so first things first, get the vocabulary done. I've noticed that when you're doing the vocabulary on a desktop or a laptop, it works perfectly well. The iPad's hit or miss, so double check your iPad, and if you have another device, it might be better to do Amplify on that device. Okay, so go ahead and do your vocab for 5 minutes, and then come on back. All right, we're going to skip over card number 2. And what we're going to do is basically, I'm going to play the audio for you. And actually, you know what? Here's what we'll do. In order to keep this video a little bit better, you're going to just listen to this on your own. I'm not going to play it just because this video is going to get way too long then. And I feel like people might not watch the video if they see it's too long. So here's how we're going to do it. Okay, go to card number 3, pause the video, and listen to the passage from Telltale Heart. Okay, just click on this thing here, or if you want to read it, you can read it as well. Okay, so go ahead and do that now. And then when you come back, you can finish steps 2 and 3. So pause the video and listen to the first section of Telltale Heart. It's not too long at all. A couple, 2 paragraphs. Okay, so take a moment and visualize what the narrator described. If you need to listen to it again, feel free to do so. Number 3, sketch a picture on paper. For the sake of this, I think it's better to do the second option, which is to write a sentence or 2 in the box below about what you visualized. Make a note of where in the text you found the things you visualized. So if you remember the poem and working on our mental movie, if you will, try to do that now again with the first 2 paragraphs of Telltale Heart by writing down what you are visualizing. Okay, so do that, and when you are done, of course, pause the video, and when you are done, I'm going to do a artist's rendition or artist's opinion of what happened, and so you can compare it to what you have in your mind. So it's really important that you don't skip ahead and that you actually do this on your own so you can compare what the artist will have and what you might have as well. I'm going to make sure my volume's up here too. Perfect. Okay, so here is the video of paragraphs 1 and 2. I'll play this one and sit back and relax and see how it compares to yours. Okay, so those are the first two paragraphs. As you notice, the artist gives what they are visualizing in their mind to what Edgar Allan Poe is writing down in the story. And hopefully you can see a difference of perspective, how you visualize, how this person visualized. There's no correct way to visualize it. It's all the beauty of what we're doing here, right? It's different for everyone. Okay, so we're going to do the same sort of thing for the rest of the story here. So the next thing you'll need to do is read paragraphs 3 through 10. Okay, so this one's a little bit longer. I'm not sure if you have a speaker, but what you can do if you don't have a speaker here is go back to your library and then just read paragraphs 3 through 10. I think there's a narration part there. And we're going to do the same sort of thing. You're going to listen to the passage or read the passage. Then you're going to take a moment to visualize what you just read, what you just listened to, and you're going to kind of write that down here in this group box, and we're going to compare it to another author. Okay, so pause and do all of that you need. This will take you a little bit because it is a lot longer. We have 7 paragraphs instead of the 2. And then when you come back, I'll play the video for what the artist's interpretation of paragraphs 3 through 10 would be. Okay, again, make sure you do it on your own first. It's not a lot. You just got to read it on your own, and then to read it again, it'll make a lot more sense. Okay, so not doing one and not the other is going to not fully get your understanding to the story where it needs to be. So make sure you read it on your own or listen to it on your own, and then watch the video that goes along with it as well. Okay, so here's the video. Go ahead and play it for you now.
just bang, 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 okay? No, I just look at all the aluminum things. Oh no, we look at them. Yeah, just another fighter. That's scared. Put it up right there. And then why are you? You guys, I think we're getting about it. We're getting great. That's my house. The pizza house. Yum. Wow,
Okay, so you have some spooky stuff there, to say the very least. I particularly love the part where he opened the door for literally an hour just so he can stick his head through. And yet he's telling us that he is not mad, that he is not insane. He's not a crazy person. It takes me about 5 seconds of opening the door before I would have lost interest in it. And I'm pretty crazy myself. So, this guy is not what he's saying. He is not normal in the mind area. So let's continue on here. All right, so same thing here. We're going to read the paragraphs 11 through 13. And same thing we've been doing. Listen to the passage and then take a moment, visualize it, write it down here. And then after you're done with that, we'll go ahead and watch the last couple of paragraphs of the artist's interpretation. Okay, so pause and do all that. When you are done, come back. Paragraphs 11 through 13. Let's see how this ends up. Okay, so let's continue on for today. We actually are not quite done with the entirety of Telltale Heart. That's for you to finish up in your solo for today. But hopefully you're starting to see that, yes, your visualization might be different than somebody else's, and that's perfectly fine. Or you may have noticed that your visualization started to turn into what the artist had just because it was a little easier because it was already right in front of you. That's totally fine too. The beauty of what we're doing here again is that everybody gets their own movie. You get to cast your own characters, you cast your own setting, your own lighting, your own music, all of that in your mind as you are listening or reading through these pieces of literature. Okay, so that was pretty much it for what we wanted to do in our class session today. Go ahead and finish up card number 6. It won't take you long at all. The directions here. What does the narrator say is true about himself? And number 2, what does this narrator say is not true about himself? That should be a pretty straightforward question. And then finally, paraphrase the following sentence. True, nervous, very, very dreadfully nervous I had been and am, but why will you say that I am mad? So what is he trying to say here if you had to put it into your own words? Okay, and then hand that in. Finally, you have your solo to do, card number 7. It is simply reading the end of Telltale Heart and answering the questions. Be sure you do this part too. This is the part that gets directly graded. The other part is participation, but getting these questions right is important. If you get them wrong, you're going to be losing out on those points. Okay, so make sure you do the solo. Again, I'm not really harping too much on how timely all of this gets turned in. Stuff might happen on Monday, for instance. It's my daughter's birthday tomorrow. If I had a lot of homework, I probably wouldn't get it done, but I would make it up on Tuesday and then get all the work done. So if it's a day or two late, if it's a week late, I'm not really taking points off for anything being late, as long as it's done. Of course, when we get to the point where grades are due and it's not in, then you're forcing my hand at that point. But get all of this done. If you have a week where you just are really busy for whatever reason, and I hope you're not busy for whatever reason, because that means you're going out, you should be staying home. Please stay home. Don't go out unless it is absolutely necessary. And to be honest, at your kid's age, it's very, very unnecessary 9 times out of 10 to go out for any reason. Now, walks and stuff around your house, that's different, but don't need to help out going to Target or the grocery store unless your parents absolutely need your help. Stay home. Stay home. Everybody, if we all stay home, this will get better, and it will things can get back to normal. And I know everybody wants you want things to get back to normal now. Okay, so get the lessons done at your convenience. Get them done. I'm not going to take off points for them being late, so you don't need to ask, oh, what happens if I turn it in a day late? No problem. Turn it in. The only issue is that if you don't turn it in ever, then I have to take some points off, obviously. And last, if you're still listening to this, make sure you signed in to the attendance assignment on Friday. That will be part of our attendance. So that's more for the state. The state actually requires to see if that you guys are logging in and doing, or at least have access to the work. Okay, so please do that as well. And that should do it for today. So hopefully that makes sense of what we were doing. And that's going to do it for today. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. This is Mr. Sanchez. Peace out.